Hey, coaches, got a fantastic guest tonight. Cam Avery is the offensive coordinator at Fike High School in North Carolina. They had a tremendous season last year, and Cam is an option guy. So I saw Cam speak at a clinic. It feels like it was 3 months ago now. I'm not sure how long ago it was because we've been playing tag trying to get this thing done for a while now. But I finally got him here. Cam's an option guy, and he's going to talk about triple option out the back of GT counter. But basically, because he's an option guy, option is option to him. So he's going to show you a couple different ways to do it. But we're primarily interested in out the back of GT counter. So Cam, I appreciate you being here, man. I know you're a busy man, wife and kids and football, but I appreciate you taking the time to get this done, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, coach us up like we're your freshman quarterback.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna hit share screen on this. So I go ahead. I got my huddle up right now. So for us, so basically our base is two backs. Um, we call it. You can call it whatever you want formationally. But it's two backs. So both of these backs will be in the backfield. I have two receivers out, one receiver here. So when we run this, if I'm teaching my freshman quarterback right here, we number it. We literally, signal in two numbers. And in this play right here, all we're running off of that number that we put two numbers in, we know we're running GT counter to the right. And that's all we're doing. So right here, and this is where, so like against ACOC, they were actually a really, really good defense this year. Had linebackers that could flat out cover sideline to sideline, very talented, two good defensive ends. So like when we run option for us, and learning this from Coach Nelson, we always want to try to manipulate defensive ends. So right here, this is his first. I would call it his dive read. So this is really his dive read, and then his pitch read becomes right here. So then, because you'll see this inside linebacker, he's going to flow with counter. Sometimes, if teams really, really can scout us and they know that we might come out of the backside, they might tell that guy to kind of sit. But then the problem is sometimes if we're really good at blocking up GT counter to the front side, we're probably going to gain a good amount of yards off of this. So right here, this quarterback's going to read this. Now we teach him to read shoulders of this defensive end. So if this defensive end, see right here, he'll kind of get there and he's going to slow play this. If he goes downhill on this, and this is where I think for a young quarterback, so we run inside and we run triple. Inside zone triple happens really fast. GT counter triple is a little bit slower. It takes a little more time. Like it gives him more time to make a decision, basically. So, like right here, when this happens, unless this defensive end is screaming downhill and gets in the back hip of our left tackle, more than likely he is going to hand this ball out. The odds of him pulling that, and he does a great job, because if you see his shoulders are still square with our quarterback. They have not churned. If that shoulder would completely churn and come downhill right here, now he knows he has to pull it. So he makes the right read on this. It ends up being a pretty good play for us. I wouldn't say we blocked it up magically, but we blocked it up good enough, and we get hats on everybody, and we let our athletes go be athletes. And then now, if you really want to coach up a young quarterback, the one thing he struggles right here, and this is a sophomore, so this is, I think, his second. So he had two sophomores this year. Started with one sophomore. He got injured, went to the second sophomore. And the second sophomore did an amazing job throughout this year. But this is his second start of varsity career. And you can see his head right now. And that's the thing about triple option in anything, or RPO in anything. Right here, everybody knows who has a ball. And that's where, with young guys, you really got to stress to them. Like right now, if he would pull his hands into his stomach and sprint right now, right here, he can probably hold him and him he's kind of already, that inside linebacker's kind of already caught in trash. He might get him to hold a little bit. He might even be able to sneak and just pause that safety for a minute. Just the safety might be like, for 1 minute, he might think he has it if he'll give a hard fake. Now, we end up doing a good job on this. We hit the edge. Edge blocking was good, and we end up with a good little run out of this. But, with all that being said, there's still, for us, and you see this guy, the guy that's the option guy. So I'll talk about him a little bit just so everybody kind of knows. So, like, when we call in this number, everybody already knows exactly who we're getting, who's going where. And because of that, this running back knows he is now pitch guy. So he needs to know that if he doesn't go there and we do pull it, our quarterback's going to be in a bad spot. So he is taught right here, and he does actually a pretty good job, to take like 1 yard behind him from where the quarterback's feet are, and it's pretty close. He might be like 1.5. And then he's going to be about, if the quarterback runs with him, he should be about 5 away, 1 behind. So he does a pretty good job right there. And we have some variations off of this, where sometimes we've done it where, like, so if we don't send this guy, we do have a variation where, like, if we think people aren't trying to chase downhill, we'll send an extra hat somewhere. But that's just a variation. For the most part, out of our base stuff, this is exactly what it's going to look like.
Looks like you held 3 of them on that play.
Hey,
The
sometimes
DN, the walk, and the backside back are all hung because of it.
A lot of times we're able. I'm gonna skip these. These are different ones from the other year. I'm gonna get to some of our regular games from this year with our guy. Yeah, a lot of times we'll notice. So, like, especially if your quarterback can be very disciplined, and here's a game we did a good job on some of these. If your quarterback will be very disciplined and really carry out his fakes in this, and here's one I was talking about. If we're not in 2 back sets, but if he'll carry out fakes, he can really hold. I mean, I've seen sometimes on film we've hold 4 guys. We'll get a DN, we'll get a safety, we'll get an outside linebacker, and we might even sneak in an inside linebacker. And then when I say hold them, it doesn't mean they're going to like go and like make, they're not going to run with the quarterback, but that little tiny hesitation that they give where they don't know who has the ball is it gives us the advantage and gives us enough time to make a big explosive run. So this isn't GT, but you'll see, and we don't do a good job on this one. I'm gonna skip this one. We do run that orbit motion sometime for us, where we'll go, and when we do this, and that's our trap. But I'm just going through some of these that we have, because we ran, basically, if I'm being honest, if we're in 2 back, we kind of always are. We have some option variation off of really every play we have. There's not any play where there's not like a second option, unless we really are just running the football. So here it is. So you'll see. So like right here, here's our GT variation, but it's our trips. So for us, it's still signaling in one thing, but in reality, he didn't throw it. But all we did now is we moved. This was the back earlier against CBA Cop. That was in the backfield. If he's in here, he would take the pitch coming to the boundary, and then this running back would take it to the field. But we slide him out, and we end up running GT counter to the left. But we had a slant RPO right here with number 7. And the hard part about this is your quarterback's got to be able to throw now with 3 guys on him. So that's the hard part. But the pretty part of it is now we're looking at, so this was Currituck, 2nd round playoffs. They were more a 2 high shell with like 3-4 look. So, and I think they had bumped this down in the red zone, but we were center's coming back and getting him. So he really should come dive, and then this is his RPO throw. And for us, that's really big. So for him, we run the same play, but it's a different look to the defense. But for him, it's still dive, pitch. It's still dive, pitch, no matter what. Like for him, he knows there's my dive pitch. He's going to read it. He maybe could have pulled that and thrown it. But I will say, so here, Kurt's what they did here was they just blitzed him and just ran right at him to try to make him confused. And you'll see, and this is the thing you got to tell your quarterbacks, if you ever want to be an option team, and we do throw RPOs in there, they have to be willing to sit here and take a shot, because the thing is, and it's not a hard shot, it's more of, I mean, if I'm the defense and we're playing an option team, that quarterback's a runner. So with that quarterback being a runner, you got to be willing to take some of those hits right there on that. And we pick up a decent little gain right there. And here, I'll show you this is our end zone view. So kind of same thing. So if we pause it, so you'll see we run GT to the left, do a great job by the center. And you'll see, so there he's probably reading more shoulders right here on that dive. Now, if he thinks he can throw it pre-snap, I'll let him pull that and throw it. But here are the shoulders, and if he does pull that, he's dead in the water. So he does a good job of reading right there. Still reads dive, pitch, and we kind of get three guys out of the pitcher. I mean, it's not a touchdown, but it's another 5-yard gain for us. And now, so this is the variation for us. We were okay at it this year. I wouldn't say we were great at it. So to us, this is still GT, but now this is GTQ. Now for him, the thing is, this is still, and this is why I say we weren't great at it. And this is part of him, as he got much better as the year went on. And as he gets older, he's going to be better at it. Because this quarterback can run the football along with throw it. But he is actually reading, and you'll probably be able to see it better from the end zone view. That guy that's kind of chasing him a little bit, he's really reading that guy. If he'll hold that out, and I teach him a click and a half, like he can go with our running back right here across the face and go one click to try to like hold them there. And then if he'll run GT back, he probably gets a little more. Now, luckily, it creates we're in 3rd and 1. I mean, I'm never going to be upset with us being in 3rd and 1. So here it is kind of from the end zone view. So when we run this, and he might have thought at the same time, I give our quarterbacks a good amount of freedom, but we meet a lot, we talk a lot. He might have thought, hey, I'm not going to worry with the mesh as much because he saw this guy right here walking down. Because in reality, if he ever wanted to, like if this guy went hard inside and he went hard inside, he has the freedom to hand that to the running back as another option for us. And it kind of, when that back comes across and we mesh this is why I say if we mesh it a little bit better and hide a little more, we might have paused 40 a little bit longer. We might could have been a little bit like a click, could have paused them, and then we could have been a little more open space. Ends up still, getting us to 3rd and 1, but that's just our variation with our quarterback. And Coach, if you got any questions, feel free. This is.
No, you're doing great. Keep on.
And this is still our G. So this is actually our GH counter or GY, whichever one you want to call it. Whichever term you like more. So this is our GHGY counter. This is actually, so this is Southern Lee. And this is where it kind of, I'll be honest, if you're an option guy, 3-3 stack, it kind of gets hard, if I'm being honest, because you kind of almost have to bring a sniffer in to help with the extra guys in the box. But at the same time, it's kind of hard. Dive, pitch, rules kind of stay the same, but sometimes this guy's hard. He's so athletic, it's hard to get him blocked up. So sometimes you'll have a free guy kind of roaming, and that can become a problem. But we run GH right here. Still for us, it's a number with an attached word is all it is. Just so that tackle knows, and then we put an RPO with it. He sees it. Doesn't work great. It's not really a bad throw. I wish we would have pushed this a little more vertical from the receiver. I wish he had pushed him vertical and then cut underneath him. Probably would have been more open. But he pulls this because he knows. So he knows now with GH, he knows this D tackle no longer matters. He knows he's getting blocked up. So he's only really reading this guy now for his read. Just making sure he's not in the alleyway. So, and then so he'll read him first, and then he'll come here just to make sure post snap that stack guy hasn't moved. And that's why I say sometimes the stack can be hard on option teams. Luckily, that he sees that linebacker fly down. He sees that kind of rover guy get in the way, and he actually doesn't make a bad ball right there, close to completing it. But that's kind of another variation we'll have, and just off of our counter with an RPO. So it's still triple to us. Not a bad spot for him. If we can win there on the slant, we got a chance. But it's still one of the ways that we still run triple principles, but out of that was a bad one right there. I remember that play. I went back to the house for them.
When you do your RPO, coach, do you worry about linemen down the field at all, or do you just let it ride?
I used to a little bit, but I mean, a couple years ago they came out with and said, hey, we're going to emphasize it. Then it never got called. So until it gets called, I really don't stress over it. Because it's just, I mean, it has not gotten called at a high enough rate for, I guess, offensively for us to be concerned with it, if that kind of makes sense. Just not, if they call it on us, I just tell the kids, hey, that one's on me, and we'll go back and we'll look at it later. And here's the same GT, but it's with quarterback. He's still reading the same guys. He probably sees him walk up. He freezes the DN just long enough, and he's an athlete, and he does the rest. That's the one thing, too, I would say, if you ever really want to get into the option game, your quarterback, I'm not saying he's got to be Lamar Jackson or anybody crazy like that, but he's got to have some toughness, and he's got to have a little bit of wiggle. This guy's a sophomore. He just has some wiggle to him, and it really, really helped us. So here's kind of that with that orbit motion I was talking about. So we don't run GT counter on this play, but we will. We'll counter, to the boundary, and then bring. It's almost like we brought the pitch guy. Like it's almost if he was already sitting here at a two backs, and we run GT counter to the right, and then he comes in pitch motion. But we just do it out of trips. Sometimes you'll see some guys getting in bad lane fits, or they won't fit it up right just because they see that motion and it just kind of messes with them. That wasn't a good play for us on that one, but we have done that before. And this was a good team. This was round one for us. This was Southern Lee. And they were another good team this year. So this is one thing, and I'll hit on this real fast just because I know it's not GT out of the back or out of two back or anything else. And this is where if if you're an option guy, 3 fronts, you got to be a little creative. We got creative a little bit here and ran something and left somebody else free for him to look at, and he knew when to pull it or not pull it. So, sometimes in a 3 front, I would think the option becomes difficult because not because it's like, amazing, but they can do so much movement on you that it can make it hard, especially on a young quarterback. So sometimes we change some stuff up right here out of our trips look, and we read a different guy. And that when we read a different guy, that kind of helped us one time in something that we did off of it. So. That was just our inside zone. That one wasn't GT at all. Some of these are GT, some of them aren't. We ran a lot of, we really ran a lot of GT too, but we'll run that was one of our tight end sets, I think earlier. We'll run GT, so here comes GH, but we'll run even GT. Sometimes we'll put that tight end down. I'll go back to that formation and I'll kind of go through it. So this is the formation. Our tight end is actually right here, or our H-back. He was the same guy for us. He was Y, tight end, H-back. Normally we have one guy that can do it. We'll even run GT to him, let him go ahead and wash everything down. We'll get this D tackle washed. We'll kick and wrap, and we'll throw like a bubble out here or a spot out here, or we might run the GT counter this way, bring the orbit motion back, or orbit and just bring orbit back and just have a variation off of that. So it's another way we run it. This one we do a little slip just because we thought we could get over top, and luckily we were quarterback. But then that's what I say also about option guys too. Like, this is a sophomore quarterback, round 1. You got to know RPO option guys, and we didn't do a magical job of stepping there. We did a good enough job. He's got to be able to take these type of hits and have some touch enough that was kind of to seal the game for us. And he's got to be able to do that in an offense like this. Here's our GH. We put a slant with it. Throws it a little behind, but good catch. It's second and 4 right here. Good catch. We pick up first down, and we move on. And this was probably, this Hunt D line this year they were good. They were real good. We ran the wrong way on that one. I remember that one too. And that's the thing with it. Sometimes with younger quarterbacks, option guys, sometimes they're gonna have moments. It just happens. So here's kind of saying that if we don't run GT on this, but the action out of the backfield is the same for us regardless. It doesn't matter for us. We're going to run the same action. So we just watch the backfield. It's not a great play for us on this, but the action is the same. And this is why I think I hit on this in the clinic one time that you were at, Coach. If you watch our quarterback, and this is where I say the big difference between if you ever want to get into running a little bit of option, it does take time. Same way RPOs take time. Same way really any offense. But if you look at the quarterback's feet right here, his feet are actually more turned for GT counter. His legs are actually pointing us more into the 4-hole than we're supposed to be running inside zone triple. His foot really should be getting us right down the center's crack. That's what he should be doing to run inside zone triple. So with that being said, that's why sometimes that mesh right there is not very long. Now, it didn't matter, but sometimes some quarterbacks are just better at certain ones. Here comes GT to the right again. We got another slant on, and right there. I mean, that's the thing that I love but hate about GT counter. I love GT counter. As far as a play, when you put RPOs on, the one thing you got to know is, and I tell our quarterbacks all the time, you got to know there might be a DN right in your grill. If we only run, if we're running one back and we want to run an RPO with our GT counter because they're getting nosy off the backside right here, and that's kind of what that outside linebacker was doing. I was like, you got to know there's going to be a dude in your face, and he knows it. And honestly, he puts a good ball in there. If we catch that, we're in second and 5, second and 6. And here, this should be the end zone angle for us. So right here should be, I think, yeah, there we go. So right here, we're running, GT to the right. So you see, this is really dive pitch if it was two back. So it's not two back. There's no orbit motion, no orbit return, nothing like that. So now he knows if he feels like he can throw this RPO based on this pitch read, he's going to throw it. So he's almost, I would say that he's reading the dive read. He is, but he's really seeing, can he throw this RPO? And if he can, then he's going to pull and throw. And I mean, not a bad spot. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but when you got a guy right in your grill and it hits both hands, you gotta, those are ones we gotta have. And then we kind of, same thing right here. We run a little, it's a different RPO for us, but it's still GT counter. And if so this one is different. So there's really probably, there might even be 4 options in this, to be honest. So pre-snap, he's going to look to our outside receiver and see alignment. Post-snap, if the pre-snap read with our receiver is not there, he's going to look post-snap to the DN right here. And then once he reads post-snap to the DN right there, if he's able to hand this, he hands it. If that DN crashes and turns his shoulders in, he's going to pull it and run it. And then as he's running at the same time, this slot receiver is about to be trying to sit in the grass, and he might be able to throw it late. So there's really like 4 options off of this one. We hope the pre-snap one is there. Luckily, it was. That's what, because this is exactly what we kind of wanted right here. And let our guy go make a play. And that's what he did. But if it wasn't there, in reality, let's just say it's not there, he should really probably hand that ball off. Now, it wouldn't have been a good run. Like I said, this Hunt D line was very, very talented this year. Very, very big, very, very physical. And if he would have pulled it, then late, he could have really hit our slot receiver, or he could have kept running if there's all this grass out there. But he went with the pre-snap one, and that's where sometimes in this we pair up a lot of things with our GT counter, if I'm being honest. We love inside zone, but GT counter is where we kind of, I would say some of our most creative plays have come from GT counter. That was just inside zone. But the back action, if you look at the back action, we go back into 2 back, and we flip back and forth. As you see, it's number 1. He moves in and out of the backfield for us. His action is still the same. Now, this ends up not being a tremendous run for us, but it's still going to hold 3 guys. If we hit this right, you got 1, 2, and 3 kind of all trying to maintain their responsibilities. And I think that's where the beauty of it sometimes for us is with our option and our RPOs, you can get guys that, they're still young guys. Offensively, we can mess up, but also defensively, they may misfit. And here's another one. It's just another RPO. We put this with GH. GH counter for us. It was kind of a different version of RPO, but how they guarded it, we were able to open up kind of that underneath slant and pick up a first down deep in our own end zone. And we're not scared to call these. I mean, we're not scared to call these deep in there. You know, if we're on the 5, we're on the 10, we're on the 2, we'll still run triple. I've seen it, backfire on us, and I've seen it go for 98. I've seen both. So right here we'll run GH. So right here, and like I said before, he knows. So that's the difference when him as a quarterback, he got I mean, his year was phenomenal. He had one of the best years I've ever seen from a young guy. And as far as like growth and maturity and understanding the playbook and really, really, really learning and leading a team, to a deep playoff run. He understood this was GH and knew right here he wouldn't have as many people in his face, because if this is GT, now this guy's here a little quicker. That's dive and that's pitch or RPOs for the slant. But because it's GH, we protect them a little bit longer, and we're able for that second window to come open. And he already knew that. And he still kind of took a little bit of a shot at the end. But like I said before, if you run the triple, your quarterback's going to get shoved, and you just got to live with it.